Okay, you tried to explain this to me. This is a slightly different question, but it's again challenging this super sense and probing it and seeing how far it can take us. But if you have a physical urge to do something, so a physical urge to have a one-night stand, or a physical urge to sleep with someone without protection, just to carry on your theme of sex.
No, that's not my complete theme. It's just, yes.
Just a temporary thing. How does your, I'm just thinking in sexual terms, because it's a very physical, can be a very physical thing, obviously, as well as emotional. How does your super sense, which you describe also as intuition, but we might describe as a gut instinct, trust your gut, so sort of it physicalizes that feeling. How does that, if not having a one-night stand is actually the right thing, do you not then have a clash of this sort of one gut feeling saying that's the wrong thing, but then your physical lust saying another thing?
Sure, it's a really good question, because the way we put it in the book, in a fully human book, is you have your mind is like a 4-story mansion. It's like a 4-story building. You've got a cognitive, clear thinking part of you. You've got an emotional level, 2nd floor, and you've got the ground floor, which is your body. And you've even got a 4th floor, which is your big picture spirituality. And the way to have a really good mental health is you turn on the lights on all 4 floors, and you move up and down, and you're aware of them all. And so you can be, very aware of incredible desire for someone that's in your vicinity. Also, you're aware that when you go into your body, that there's a kind of an ache in your skin, and a kind of a funny feeling in your skin, which I experience quite often because I travel a lot, and it's just pure loneliness. And loneliness has a super sense feeling all to its own. And so you shuttle down up between the levels, and you're actually much better placed to think, that woman is so attractive, and I'm really lonely, and I think that would be really a bad idea, because I promised my partner that I wouldn't sleep around, and or my values are, you don't take advantage of someone who's drunk. That's a crap thing to do. And that conversation happens. And instead of blocking it out or getting drunk and doing something which you later on hate yourself for, it's about adding up. A man is someone who stacks up. They choose their actions consciously, and they're aware of all their dimensions, and knowing about yourself, knowing what you're experiencing, makes you autonomous. You're not driven by it. Good question. Yeah.
So while you mentioned men there, there's a whole section in the book about what it is to be a man, and what, generally speaking, in your experience, women want from men. And you stood in front of an audience of women and asked them what they want from a man. It was very powerful, because some of them spoke with such passion, which suggested to you that they'd experienced the opposite of what they wanted in a man.
Yeah, it's a brilliant thing to do. I've done it many times. You get women, an audience of women, to design the perfect man, and you get some very ribald comments come first, and then they settle down, and we fill the whiteboard with adjectives, loving and strong and kind and trustworthy, and then we do this thing which really knocks people off right off their seat, which is that every one of those adjectives falls into 2 camps. That there is heart and there is backbone. So they want a man who's kind, and passionate and intense and caring, but they also want someone who's trustworthy, who's reliable, who will, someone gets in a marriage, someone gets really sick for 6 months and they're just, you know, having a terrible time, you absolutely know you can trust them, count on them. And so there's backbone and heart. Now, everyone watching will be aware of men they know who've got loads of heart, but they're just really, really unreliable in a tough spot, wishy-washy and hopeless. And there are men who've got loads of backbone, very, very reliable, but no heart. They just can't open up and be close. You have to have both.
What if you don't have both? What if the men watching this program don't have both? Can they achieve both? Is this something that you can grow to?
Yes. Now, a lot of this is role modeling. You have to know what backbone looks like. You know, you will never win the love and respect of a woman if you don't have backbone. You know, if you are unfaithful, she will realize that you're a baby. You're a baby who'll suck on any tit that comes by, and she will not love you. She won't feel safe with you, and so you will be a loser for the rest of your life. And in a men's group, we just kick each other's backsides about that, and you take it on board, and you notice that it's been demonstrably true for the whole of your life, and you want to win the respect of a woman. The rewards of that are just so vast, and you grow a backbone. But it helps. You have to see people who've got one. And similarly, if you might be very sturdy and staunch, but wooden-hearted. The 1950s men were like that. You might have to learn to feel as well. It's always a balance.
You've mentioned the 4 floors. I mean, first of all, you talk about living in the mansion, and the mansion is an analogy for the mind. But let's very briefly, in what little time we have left, talk about those 4 floors. So you've got the first floor, which is the body, the second floor, which is So the second, well, I've got the second floor down as emotions, the third floor down as teaching your brain to think straight, and the fourth floor as spirituality, although spirituality is not what you think it is, you say. Tell us about this diagram, because that's slightly different. Oh, well, no, it's not.
Yes,
it's not. I was reading from the top bottom. I'm supposed to be reading from the bottom up.
You're doing fine, Matthew. You were good. I'll put this down because it's 3 in the morning. I can see my hands shaking. Let's talk about the top floor, because this does incredibly, from a neuroscience viewpoint, it really seals the picture. It's, if you imagine that you're on your 3rd floor, that's as high as you've ever been. This is your thinking part of your mind, and you've turned on the lights. You've realized, many people get trapped on the 3rd floor. Many people get trapped on the 2nd. You've realized that you can move around. If that's one thing that viewers tonight, you move down into your super sense. Feel your gut, feel what it's interrogate it. Come up to your emotions. It's kind of wild and crazy there, but it's a lot of life and vitality. Come up to your head and think clearly. On the top of the 3rd floor, if you look at the ceiling, there's a kind of a trapdoor. You suddenly notice there's a trapdoor in the ceiling. There's a little bit of cracks of light coming through. You go a bit closer, there's even a bit of sound coming through, like the bird song or a bit of music coming through those cracks. And, what's up there? You get a step ladder and you push on this manhole thing and open, and wow, there's a rooftop garden of your mind. There's a rooftop garden on top of the mansion of your mind. You can see the stars and the sky and the landscape around you, and there's other people, and it's all this life going on. And it's a conceptual breakthrough that is also felt as well, that you are not separate. You're just a leaf on the tree. And I'm 68, and I've had occasional brushes with death, and certainly just am aware that you're not around forever. And Matthew, I don't care too much about that anymore. I don't lay great store by Steve Biddulph and his career or things like that. It's I'm a leaf on the tree, and one day I will fall from the tree. But I care a lot about the tree. I really would like that tree to always be there. It's got my, all these lovely children and kids and other people, beautiful human beings and animals, and I really want that tree to stay around. But the relief that comes, the courage, and I've tackled our Prime Minister very confrontingly here in Australia, and about his treatment of young people's climate fears, which we mention in the book. And I'm not afraid. I'm an anxious person, but I take a lot of courage from. I don't care what happens to me. It's a lovely freedom of knowing that individually you're just a part of this story. So you can really chill out, and then your emotions settle down, and your thinking is just so wide and spacious, and you're super sensitive. Wild animal down there is kind of, here we go, yeah. So the way the top floor, I'm seeing you smiling there. I'm so pleased that you're getting what I'm talking about, Matthew. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that so much of what you say is interesting, but what you said there about near-death experiences, you're 68, you've come into close contact with death a few times. You mentioned actually about the kayak experience. I don't know whether, who was that Australian, Baz Luhrmann, I think, director, who wrote a song, which I remember from my gap year, and one of the lines stood out, and it's, something bad can suddenly hit you randomly on a Tuesday afternoon or whatever. And it was a Tuesday afternoon in my early 20s, and I was on the River Thames, upriver in the countryside in Oxfordshire, and I was in a kayak with a friend of mine. And I didn't know about the kayak roll, and I was too big for the kayak. So when the kayak overturned, I got stuck, and I was upside down in the kayak in the middle of the Thames, which is not as wide in the countryside as in London, but it's still a hefty river. And I used all my strength to manage to sort of wrench my head up so that I could gasp for air, called out to my friend in the distance. And then I tried it again, and then things started to go a bit calm and quiet. And I was about to run out of breath, and the current dragged me to the side of the river, and I was able to grasp a root of a tree and hold on. It was fragile, so I had to hold on to it without ripping it, and had my head above water until my friend was able to get to me and gradually release me. That was a near-death experience, so it struck me, of course, immediately when you talked of your near-death experience in the kayak, and I just wonder how that shaped you. You say that you're relaxed now, and therefore you're sort of, in a way, you're less self-obsessed. You're not so worried about what happens to you, and that gives you a broader perspective, and you're able to see the world more clearly. Was that incident quite important in that process? I mean, how did it impact your life?
Yes, I mean, I'm much more impressed with your experience, Matthew. That's just terrifying, to be under the water and running out of oxygen. I'm so glad that you were safe, because you're a lovely and valuable human being that's giving an awful lot to the human race. So thank Christ you didn't drown. All that I learned was not to be stupid in kayaks, that was a really dumb thing to have done, and nothing cosmic at all from that experience. But you got that much younger in life and made much more of it. So well done.
Hey, we talked in the green room earlier, Steve, about mindfulness, and you very kindly mentioned you'd ordered a copy of my bird watching book, my bird photography book, How to See Birds. And one of the things I discuss early on in that book is, I suppose, bird watching as a form of mindfulness for me. So it's a way of rooting myself in the real world, in nature, and taking myself out of me and becoming almost at one, without wanting to sound too pompous, with the natural world around me and with the birds that I'm focusing on. It's a route to mindfulness for me, is my sort of mindfulness. Tell us a bit about how you understand mindfulness in our last couple of minutes or so, and how, as you describe in the book, we can best live in the now.
Yes, well, I think that for me, super sense is more useful for people who are naturally kind of quite hyped up, and because it's hard to think your way to a calm place. And so when when you go out into Wales and into nature, your body, what happens is your body notices that it's in nature. This is where it belongs. It's like inside you is a panther or a brown bear. That's what you are. It's just down there below the surface, and it likes to be outdoors, and it feels in your natural self likes to be in the rest of nature.
It feels like as well, Steve, when I was a little boy and being taken to the Welsh countryside, that somehow one was being connected with the deep roots of humanity as well, because originally we were obviously rural beings. So I was being taken out of the urban metropolis of London and into this other world where somehow it helped me to connect with a spirituality and something deeper in myself.
Yes, this whole system, your right brain down into your vagus nerve, down into your organs, is the antenna with which you are part of nature. This was how we knew when the birds went quiet, you froze in a wooded valley. You didn't think that, you just did it. And so the reason we're in a collision with the planet now, we have a pandemic and we have climate change, is because we lost our super sense connection with the natural world, even with each other and even with our own nature. It's all part of the same loss. And so that simple act, go down inside yourself. What is that panther feeling and doing down there in your belly? Which anyone can do. You can do it just listening right now. Will always get you there. It'll always take you there. It might be not a calm feeling straight away. It might be a very turbulent feeling, but it's the beginning of calm.
And isn't it curious that the word superstition begins like super sense with super? If you think about the Romans and their gods, they had household gods, they had gods of the sky, they had gods of the crops, they had gods of the river. It was a way of respecting their natural environment, understanding their natural environment, connecting to it.
Yes, the wind in the willows. There's a mystical chapter when they find Pan. The god Pan has rescued the little lost otter. And Van Morrison wrote a brilliant song about it, the Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And it's just this lovely, and then you're right, the Romans knew there's a civilization outside civilization, and it's probably a better one.
I want to just read a couple of comments. Unusually, I think people have been rapt by what you've had to say. There isn't a single question. So I want to reflect what Bello has said. Well, but Bello wants to make sure, because Bello arrived late, that there is going to be a recorded video of this, and my understanding is there will be, so panic not. And James says, I think Steve is a blossom on the tree, which is her response to your suggestion that you are merely a leaf on the tree. So I think that rather suggests that Jane, and I hope everyone else has really enjoyed it. Just to big up your book again, so Fully Human, a new way of using your mind, is available for people to buy. And I wonder whether you might, Steve, just finish with a minute, sort of summing things up for people,
Yes.
synthesizing your whole approach in this book.
Well, yes, I want everyone to have the skill. And so, Matthew, as you've been listening, and as you're listening now, and anyone who's listening, if you go down the midline of your body and try this out, you'll be aware of this. There's always sensations going on. It might be a swirling sensation. It might be kind of clenching. It might be a kind of soft opening kind of feeling, anything at all. But if you notice those sensations, you can talk to them. You can put some words to them and say, is it this or is it that? It might be, this man's talking a lot of rubbish, or I really like this, or I wished I'd gone to the toilet before. It could be anything at all that's going on. If you dialogue with it, it will answer your questions. And you say, is this about loneliness, or is this about my marriage, or is this about my job, or about this friendship that isn't really very good for me? And you talk with that part of your body. You can do this every second you're alive. You can do it continuously when you're working. It's how musicians know that they're in the groove. It's how painters know that their art is good or bad. This is an ability you can use for the rest of your life. It's the unused part of your mind which our civilization lost, but it's right there all the time. And so I hope that you'll carry that ability, and that make tomorrow, when you go out into the world, you can touch into it, and it'll help you. It'll help you calm and steady, help you know what's going on with you when something isn't right with your kids. Maybe you need to apologize to your partner. It's a compass, and matched with your amazing intelligence. You know, you're a person who watches How to Academy on a Tuesday night. You know, you live in a pretty smart country. If you can bring body wisdom to that kind of intelligence, then maybe we can fix this much troubled earth. And so lots of love to you. Thanks so much for listening to our rambles, and good night, everyone.
Steve, it's been brilliant. Thank you so very much. And it's been a real pleasure and a privilege. And I hope I don't know whether you'll go back to sleep. I mean, you dressed up so smartly for us, and in the middle of the night. Just to conclude by saying that Emma says, thank you for this discussion, and thank you for your books, Steve. Raising Boys was one of the most influential, helpful non-fiction books I've ever read. I will look this new one out. Thank you. So a nice place to stop. I hope you stay well there in Tasmania. Stay safe, enjoy things, continue to enjoy the outdoors, and thank you again.
Love to everybody. Thank you, Matthew, and also Dana, for producing the night. Thank you. Bye-bye.